just to stand up straight. Welcome to the video, guys. Today is going to be a pretty long one because I have to recap 2 weeks. I didn't record last week's recap because I didn't feel like it. So I'm going to recap the last 2 weeks that happened since I since I've injured, wow, that's scary. Since I've injured my Achilles. So last week was the lull week, like where I had nothing to do. It was a week before I had to go into physical therapy. Like last time, my boot didn't quite fit correctly, so it felt like it was still tugging on my Achilles, so I didn't even bother. I didn't even think about wearing the boot for that whole last week before my physical therapy appointment. So I kept up with the ace bandage wrap, kept it in that dorsiflex position, and continued to go about my business. Still couldn't do anything but use crutches or the scooter. So, and then the worst part about it was I couldn't drive anymore. But I can drive now because of the boot, and I'll explain after. Ever since I got the cast off, I was able to perform this new workout. It's called the kneeling glute press on the Smith machine. Here, I'll show you a video of how to do it right here. The only reason why I'm able to do it now is because the cast used to put me in that weird position where my foot was kind of up and kind of down, and I couldn't really lay my foot like kneeling. I couldn't lay it flat on the ground, which impeded that movement for this exercise. But now I can do it. I can put a little bit more weight on it. It feels nice to have the bar on my back, pushing a little more weight around, and it's mainly a glute exercise, but it's better than not doing anything. I'd rather do this exercise than doing the banded ones because that wasn't quite enough resistance for me. And because I didn't have the boot on, I only had the ace bandage wrap. That actually gave me more vulnerability because every time like my foot were to touch something like lightly, like boom, it would like automatically twitch up, and that would kind of tug against my Achilles, and it wouldn't be painful. The only pain would be like that it's more like a fear, like, oh my god, if this goes if it twitches a little too far or too hard, then my tendon could re-rupture. And that was always like a scary feeling, but it would happen like often. That was because I wasn't in the boot. So basically got the cast off on March 12th before my birthday, and then on March 20th, before March 20th, every day up until the day I had physical therapy, I felt like my foot was getting a little stronger day by day. It wasn't like to the point where it was like super strong where I could feel like I could do so many things. It was just like, oh, it slightly feels a lot stronger than it did the day before, and it didn't feel like it would just like, come apart so easily. But on March 20th, I went in for physical therapy, and here's what happened. So I went in, and my physical therapist was like, how come you're not wearing your boot? I told her the whole story of why I didn't wear my boot, because it was uncomfortable, it didn't fit right, it was tugging on my Achilles. She was like, okay, that's wrong, you should be in your boot. And I was like, okay. So the first thing she did was fitted me into the boot to make sure I fit it correctly. She said it was too loose, and there was probably still air around, like pumped up inside the boot, because my boot has that special, not special, but it has a pump for air, and that's mainly for ankle injuries. And if you pump up the air, it kind of inflates around the Achilles area, and you don't want that pressure around the Achilles area because it will not heal correctly. So she let all the air out, put my foot inside the boot, and then just strapped everything up super tight. She was like, make sure this thing is super tight. If not, it's not going to fit right, or you're going to just move around and you probably mess something up. Okay, so I was able to fit the boot. That was fine. Next, we went, she took off my sock, and then she started feeling around my Achilles just to make sure I didn't screw anything up while I didn't have the boot on, because the boot was the main reason to have your boot on is to protect it, for one, and keep it in that flex position so that it heals properly. So because it wasn't in the boot, you know, it's more vulnerable to like that twitching or people touching it, or it could re-rupture. And I was like, oh my God, did I screw anything up, or like did anything like mess up while I was healing, or was supposed to heal correctly? She said no, it was healing just fine. So glad I didn't screw anything up. Okay, so then she felt around my Achilles area, and what she was looking for was seeing if it was reattached. It was reattached, and she also said that the middle part of the tendon was attached, but the sides of the tendon, they're pretty much still like not fully attached. So that was what needed to still heal. So we needed to let the healing process still continue. It's very slow because it's a tendon. It's not like muscle or anything else that heals a lot faster. The tendon heals very slow. So you gotta wait until both sides of the Achilles kind of reattaches itself. So we moved on to physical therapy exercises. She gave me 2 exercises and then one like to do, like a regular. I'll go over it. So the first exercise was, I'm gonna show you right here. You start by putting your foot in that dorsiflex position, kind of relaxed state off the ledge, off the ledge, and then you kind of squeeze your foot to the left and to the right as hard as you can, just to activate the ankles and the tendon a bit more. Try to get it a little stronger. At first this was a little hard, but now it's getting a lot easier to do. And I'll show you like the progression from like my first day and as of right now, because it definitely changed. I felt so much weaker the first time I tried doing this than now, where it's like so much easier to do these exercises. The next is to flex and you want to do all of these exercises. She's told me to do about 15 to 20 times, 3 to 5 times a day. So it's quite a bit, but it doesn't really seem like much. And these are basically just activation exercises, making sure you can get full control back in your foot. And the next exercise was to flex your foot up and then dorsiflex your foot all the way back down, and kind of squeeze as hard as you can so you feel like that flex in your calf. So the hard part is actually flexing up, because your foot kind of does not listen to you. It kind of just twitches on its own. That was the main thing that I could not control. Now I can, but at the beginning, she said, it's hard to control this at the beginning because our body's not used to not being able to control or, doing that motion. But as we progress, we will slowly be able to control it, but you don't want to flex it up too far. You only want to flex it up a little bit, because if you go too far, then it could tear your tendon again, and we don't want that. So I kind of just got like, I took a little, it would go like twitch a little bit and then kind of go too far, and that's when I was like, okay, maybe not take it too far. So you got to be really careful about that one. And then the next part is, or the last thing she told me to do was, she wanted me to walk. And as soon as she said this was like kind of scary. And I was like, whoa, really? But she was like, no, you're gonna walk inside the boot. So she strapped out the boot on me and then gave me some crutches, and then I was supposed to practice walking inside the boot. And this was like super scary. Like your mind just goes through like so many things where like, oh my God, I don't want anything to happen. But she like reassured me nothing would happen. It wouldn't re-rupture. The biggest thing is just to try to slowly add pressure back onto the foot, slowly regain that movement or like activation of that nervous system and like the muscles in that area. Because she said if you start to activate all the stuff where your foot is, or like walking motions and stuff like that, all the way at the bottom of your foot, like applying pressure on your foot, that will start to increase the healing process, because your body starts to recognize that, oh, there is still something there, it's not dead. So it starts to send like all the neurons and stuff down to that area that's injured and starts to help heal it even more. that's like the main thing. So I started walking. It was not a very beautiful walk at all. It was more like a I'm scared and I don't want to do anything. So, you know, took it a little step by step, and like that first step, like you feel the pressure of your heel hit the ground. It kind of like tingles, and then it radiates all the way to like your toes, like you haven't used it at all. It's like if you were to squeeze your foot, and after you're not using it in a while, like the blood kind of just like dissipates. That was like that feeling. And she said to, and I'm gonna show you what it looked like when I first started walking, and then what it looks like now. Like it's totally different. Like I can move around like pretty fast now. I mean, it's not like normal and super fast, but it's a lot faster than when I first started. And she said to do this about 10 minutes a day. That's it. I think I do a little more than 10 minutes a day now. Like try to stay on my feet as much as I can. The key thing is you're only supposed to walk inside the boot. Don't try to walk at all outside of the boot, because you will re-rupture the tendon because of that extra stretch inside the boot, because there are wedges inside the boot right now. So it's making me look super tall on one side at least. So if I wanted to like stand up straight without like a weird like lopsided, I would have to stand on like a block, and I'll show you what it looks like when I try to stand normally. You know, that's what it looks like. So yeah, right now I just have an awkward limp. Make sure the boot is on super tight, and you don't want any like your foot sliding around at all inside the boot. That could be bad. And she said that staying active is very important to the healing process, because the more active you are, the more efficient your body is. And I kind of knew that already, and I'm more on the side of being like super active. You kind of have to get me to like not do something. But I know other people over there that do have this injury aren't as active as I am, or may not be. But there are a lot of people who are active, and you need to stay active to help out with this injury process. The possibility, so I had to go back to physical therapy every 2 weeks. So that means at the time of this video, I will be going back to physical therapy next Tuesday. She said I may be able to get out of the boot within 2.5 months. So by the end of May, I could possibly be out of the boot already, and you know, being able to like start walking in shoes and stuff like that. She said I cannot fly yet, but by the time it hits like the end of May, I should be able to fly. You don't want that swelling inside the Achilles area, and if swelling I haven't had any swelling at all, but if swelling does occur, then make sure just ice it a little bit. But I haven't had any problems with swelling. What's happened so far after I had physical therapy, I've been doing the exercises daily, as much as I could, every time, like 3 to 5 times a day, 10 minutes walking. And it's like, as you can see, like my progression is so different from the first day to where I am now. So I'm thinking I'm getting a lot stronger. There's still no pain in the area. It's just, you can feel like, now that you can control your foot a little more, you can kind of feel where it tugs against the Achilles. And what happens after the first day, everything was a struggle, but right now everything's pretty much super easy to do. I can get around the house a lot easier. I can go upstairs without crutches, just use the boot and kind of walk upstairs. Going to the bathroom is a lot easier wearing the boot. Standing and sitting, because I can put my foot straight down without lifting it up or like making sure it's like elevated. I can put pressure on the bottom of my foot now. Oh, and the physical therapist said you have to keep the boot on at all times, even when you're sleeping. Just don't wear it when you're showering, but even when you're sleeping, wear the boot. You don't want to, any chance of, the boot is there to protect you. You don't want any chance of your foot hitting something at night or something and it just like re-ruptures again. So always wear the boot. And yeah, that's where we are today. That's going to conclude this recap. Hope you guys learned something. If you did, comment down below. Let me know. And if there's anything else you want to let me know, comment down there. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and see y'all next week. Ben Peaky's out.